Ladies and gentlemen, the date is soon upon us. Hello everyone and welcome to Anything Geek. My name is Zero and today we're gonna take a closer look at all the cards that are coming in the starter deck 10. And of course the big specificity of this deck is that it actually has 3 leaders, so let's start by breaking down their effect and see what they're all about. And all 3 of them gonna be multicolor leader, red and purple, and the first one is gonna be Trafalgar Law, and his effect is actually an activate main once per turn, done -3. This allows you to return one of your opponent's character with 3000 power or less to the bottom of their deck. Then you can play one 4-cost or lower character from your hand. So done -3 is kind of a big price, especially early game, to play to bounce just a 3000 power or less, but you get to play a cost 4 or lower early. So you want to target a 4 cost with this type of effect, but I mean it needs to be like very valuable 4 cost to be able to make this worth. Also, this leader has 5k power, and this is gonna become important with all 3 leaders because they are kind of breaking the curves that we already know. Next leader we have is Monkey.D.Luffy. It's a 3 life leader, 1 less than Trafalgar Law, but it actually has 6k power, and that's already like very good because we know Whitebeard has a base 6k power and he was like nigh untouchable with regular decks until Katakuri came around and had a way of being 7k to each of his attacks. So having a natural 6k on your leader is kind of a big deal. But of course we also have his effect that's an activate main once per turn. If your field has 0 done or your board has 8 or more done, you can add 1 done from your done deck as active. So it's a bit of an emergency ramp on the done, because if you have 0 done, it means you've used the done minus effect, so you're left out with nothing else, so you at least get 1 done back. Or if you are at 8 or 9, you can ramp and get the final done that you need for your bigger effect. It's very interesting, and the fact that it's a 6k attacker in red and purple makes it very interesting. I have to say, out of the 3, this is my favorite one. Next we have the third and final leader, which is Eustace Captain Kidd, 5k power, 5 life, and during your turn, if you have 4 or more life, this leader has -1000 power. So when you're at full life, you actually get -1000 power during your turn. But also when attacking, you can done -1, and this leader will gain +2k for this turn. So manage this well and you will have a natural 5 life leader with 6k power every turn. But it's not all about the leaders, because the cards that we have are actually very cool. We have Sanji, 6 cost, 6k power, a counter of 1000, and a non-play effect. If your opponent has a character with 5k or more, this character gains rush during this turn. So it feels like kind of a panic button in the game, whereas if your opponents play like bigger cards, you can play this and get a bit of rush to try to counter your opponent having more inertia than you. But make no mistake, it's still a 6k attacker. This stings. Next we have Jinbei. It's a 2k counter actually, so very good. 2 cost, 2k power, and the next one, when attacking, you can give up to one of your opponent's character -2000 during this turn. So that's very interesting because now you can nerf your opponent's board a bit and try to get their character more easily with more attacks on your board. Typical aggro stuff. And we have the first SR of the deck, which is a 10 cost, 11,000 power Monkey.D.Luffy with the rush skills already, and once per turn after your opponent activates a blocker, you can KO up to one of your opponent's character with 8k power or less. That is insane, because now your opponent is gonna be scared of using blocker, and that's just so good. That is just bonkers. Next we have a purple card, which is a 5 cost, 6k power, killer, and a 1000 counter with the effect that during your turn, once per turn, when a Dun is returned from your field to your Dun deck, you can KO up to one of your opponent's rested character with a cost of 3 or less. Fairly classical, it's a mid-range body getting rid of the lower bodies on the board, particularly efficient if you play against an aggro deck. Next we have Chachi and Penguin, 4 cost, 5k power, 2k counter, so very good. And on play, if there are 3 or less Dun on your field, you may add up to 2 Dun from your Dun deck and set them as rested. That's good ramp with a 2k counter, that's very cool, very good. That being said, you cannot have 3 or less Dun on your field playing this, because this is a 4 cost. And the way this works in this deck is you play this 4 cost with the low leader that we saw earlier. Because remember that low leader actually targets a 4 cost or lower from your hand to play early on in the game. So you will be returning 3 Dun and bouncing back a 3k or less from your opponent's board to the bottom of his deck, and then you can play a 4 cost or lower from your hand. And so you play Penguin and Chachi, and their on-play effect takes effect, and there are 3 less Dun on your field, so you can add 2 Dun from your Dun deck and rest them. Also 2k counters, always good to have. Next we have Jean Bart, 4 cost, 5k power, and a non-play with the cost of 1. You may add up to 1 Dun from your Dun deck and set it as active. That's perfect to ramp, that's very useful in any purple deck, you should play this. Also, it's a mid-range stat, so you have a 5k body on the board that your opponent needs to deal with, otherwise it's just gonna go on a rampage. You also have a 1k counter on this, so still useful in a pinch. But we now have the second SR of the deck, which is a Trafalgar Law, 4 cost, 5k power, with the blocker skills, always good to have, a counter of 1000 also, and an on-play effect Dun -1. If your opponent has 7 or more cards in hand, you may trash 2 cards from their hand. So when you're facing like a Whitebeard that's constantly drawing and has a ton of counters in hand, you can play this and get rid of some of their defense. I've also saw, like, because I was building VV during last week, I also saw that if you play Igaram, you get a ton of cards in hand. So against those type of deck that holds all the cards in their hand to play as counter, this is gonna make short work of their defense. Next we have Eat, 3 cost, 4k power, counter of 1000. Your turn, once per turn, when a Dun is returned to the Dun deck from your field, this character gain plus 2k power until the start of your next turn. And that kind of power up is very good because it's until the start of your next turn, so it doesn't turn back into a 4k when it's the opponent's turn and just sit there being targetable by your opponents. You at least get the additional layer of defense because your power is still a 6k until the start of your next turn. Next we have Beppo, 4 cost, 5k power, counter of 1000, and a non-play and when attacking effect. And if the number of Dun cards on your opponent's field is greater than the number of Dun cards on your field, you can add 1 Dun card from your Dun deck rested. And remember that if you've made the Chachi and Penguin combo that we talked about earlier, you play the 4 costs for 3 and you only have 2 Duns now, so you will be lower than your opponent if you play the Herd Pirate. There you have it, you can ramp back up using Beppo's effect. And next we have the third SR for the deck, which is Eustace Captain Kidd, 7 cost, 8k power, and a non-play and when attacking effect Dun -1, up to one of your leader gain plus 1000 power until the start of your next turn. Very good offensively, very good defensively, because you get to keep the power up until the start of your next turn, and it's an 8k power on your board. This is always good to have. Your opponent is gonna freak out and is gonna think about a million ways to try to remove this, and he knows he has to deal with this. But in the meantime, since you gave a power boost to your leader, he also has to think about how he's going to proceed to attack you. Next card we have is Wire from the Kid Pirate, 3 cost, 3k power with a counter of 1000, and blocker. So already very cool, we have a blocker, and once per turn, if a done card is returned to the done deck, draw one card and discard one from your hand. So you get some card cycling going on there every time you done minus, which in purple is gonna be a lot. That's why you have ramp mechanics for purple. So this can help you cycle your hands and get the cards that you need in your hand faster. And we are already at the events of the deck, with the first one being Gum Gum Giant Thrust. It's a 1-cost counter event of the Straw Hats, and when activated, up to one of your leader or character gain plus 2k counter during this battle, and KO up to one of your opponent's character with 2k power or less. So depending on which blocker your opponents run, you might get rid of some of his pesky little low-cost blockers, or the small bodies and utilities that he has. Maybe like if you play against green and your opponent has a Bonnie Searcher that he keeps restanding and activating to get the search ability, you can KO this using this card's effect. The second event, Gum Gum Kong Gatling, that we have is actually a bit more costly because it's a 5-cost, and the main effect is KO up to one of your opponent's character with 7k power or less. I think it's worth it. You pay 5 to get rid of a 7-cost. I would say this is worth it because also you get a trigger, so until the end of your next turn, up to one of your leader gain plus 1000 power. So if you ever need this defensively, just a little bit more power to make sure your opponent cannot attack freely into you, you can also go for that. And the last card that we have for the deck is actually Punk Vice. It's a 3-cost event. With the main effect, you can rest up to one of your opponent's character with the cost of 2 or less, and add up to 1 done from your done deck and rest it. So you can totally rest their blocker and prevent them from blocking at least for this turn, and you also get some ramp with that. Also, you have a trigger, so you can add up to 1 done from the done deck and set it as active if you ever get this from your life. But that is gonna be it, guys. These are all the cards that are endemic to the starter deck, and yes, I'm saying this on purpose because we also have Zoro. It's the 3-cost Rush Zoro from OP01. You all know this already, you all love it because it's very efficient. This is getting a reprint in the starter deck 10. It's gonna be a 4 copies of in the deck, as well as the Nami Searcher, which is gonna be also a 4 copies of in the deck. Those are fantastic cards that we all use in nearly all of our decks, so we know their value is not in question, and you get those cool reprints if you buy the starter deck 10. And that wraps it up. These are all the cards included in the starter deck 10. Which one was your favorite? Tell me down in the comment section below. And in the meantime, thank you very much for watching. If you're still here, that means the video was at the very least entertaining to you, so please leave a like, and also make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to never miss anything geek. Bye guys.